And joining me now is White House Trade Advisor Peter Navarro. Mr. Navarro, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Great to be with you. The digs here are pretty plush.
Well, we'll get to...
A lot of history there.
We'll get to your back and forth with Elon Musk in just a bit, but I want to start off on the policy, the important thing here. President Trump, as we just laid out, did hit the pause button on his tariffs. He lowered them to 10% for most countries. And just yesterday, the White House announced new exclusions for smartphones and other electronics. Mr. Navarro, how can consumers and businesses make decisions when it seems as though the president's trade policies are shifting at a moment's notice?
So this is unfolding exactly like we thought it would in a dominant scenario. What's going on here is we start with the observation. I don't think you would disagree with me at all. The world cheats us. They've been cheating us for decades. They cheat us with tariffs, higher tariffs. But more importantly, they cheat us with the so-called non-tariff barriers. It's the VAT taxes, the dumping, the currency manipulation, the technical barriers that keep our autos out of Japan, the agricultural barriers that keep our pork out of Australia or Europe. They're doing that to the tune of $1.2 trillion of wealth a year that we transfer now abroad, and $18 trillion of wealth since we started running deficits. You know how much $18 trillion of America that could buy? So that's the problem we're grappling with. So we have a strategy here where the president says we're going to charge them what they charge us. And the analytical issue is it's easy to calculate the tariff differential, but the non-tariff barriers are so much higher. So that's what we set, knowing full well that a lot of countries would come right to us and want a bargain. We've got 90 deals in 90 days possibly pending here, and it was par for the course. Actually, it was a birdie for President Trump to do exactly what he did, which was pause for 90 days, and we're going to get this done for the American people.
I want to talk about the status of those potential pending deals. But first, look, you're talking about the fact that the White House has a strategy. The Commerce Secretary, the Treasury Secretary, the President himself said there would not be exclusions, and yet just yesterday there were exclusions. So is there, in fact, a plan, or is the president making this up as he goes along?
So the policy is no exemptions, no exclusions. The policy is in effect. No, there were not exclusions. Yes. Let me explain.
Okay.
This is really good for the American people to understand. There's like different ways to go about getting fairness for the American people. We started with the fentanyl border tariffs. That's an IEPA, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. And we had a crisis at the border. We continue to see people die. By the time this show's over, another couple of Americans will be dead from fentanyl in just this short period of time. We did that. So the IEPA is also used for the trade deficit, but there's also a really important thing, Kristen, and this deals with the chips issue you're talking about. That's what we call the Section 232 issue, which is when we have a flood of imports being dumped into certain key strategic sectors, steel, aluminum, chips, pharmaceuticals, as we learned during COVID, we have to take specific action. So what we're doing with chips, the problem, interestingly, for chips, because it's very complex stuff, is that we don't buy a lot of chips like in bags, we buy them in products. So what Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick is going to do is doing it as we speak, is an investigation of the chip supply chain. The goal is stability and resilience. And you will see actions taken based on those investigations on copper. We already have steel and aluminum. We already have autos. There will be pharmaceuticals. And there will be chips. And the important thing is there's three kinds. There's the high-end chips, which is the AI future. Okay, we've got to get control of that. And then there's everything else that fuels our autos and on down.
Fair enough. I hear what you're saying on investigation, but there is currently an exclusion for some of those products.
You want to call it an exclusion, potatoes.
No, it's not.
What it is.
The White House called it an exclusion.
Well, but let's say, here's, I think, another thing that's really important. When people talk about the chaos or lack of strategy, whatever, you just go back to day one. I was there when the president signed it. It was the second to last order he signed. It was in the Oval that night. And it was the America First trade policy, which laid out every single thing we're doing. And it would be remiss for anybody in the media not to review that carefully and see that there's rhyme to our reason and rhythm to what we're doing.
Yeah, but now the administration is actually on its website saying that they're offering refunds for some of these products. But let's talk about day one,
sure.
Okay? Because on the campaign trail, President Trump promised to bring down prices on day one. Now he's telling Americans there's going to be a transition cost. I don't have to tell you this. People are worried about everything from their retirement savings to the prices they're going to pay at the grocery store, whether shelves will be stocked. I think the big question is how long will Americans have to wait? How long will this transition of uncertainty last?
Well, let's talk about both recession and inflation, because there was some really big news this last week. And I'm going to answer your question. Trust me on that. So we had really good news on the inflation front. Both the producer price index, which is wholesale prices, consumer price index, had the lowest print since fall of 2023. Really good news, and nobody expected that. And the reason why that kind of thing's happening is because the Trump policies on other fronts, oil's down to $61 a barrel. Okay, so, but the other thing, and this is like, should have been in that little package you had at the beginning, the Congress passed the resolution, the budget resolution, which lays the groundwork for having the biggest, broadest tax cut in American history before August. Now, what does that mean? Yeah. What does it mean for both recession and inflation? It means that we're going to have a debt-neutral tax cut financed by tariff revenues that's going to stimulate growth. It could be worth as much of 1.5 points in terms of GDP growth. At the same time, it's deflationary, not inflationary. It's unlike the Biden fiscal measures, which were just pure debt-driven. So there's really good news here. And I predicted 50,000 on the Dow. I predicted a broad-based S&P rally. I don't know if you know this, Kristen, but it was 7 AI stocks that pulled up the S&P 500 during the Biden years. That's not growth.
And yet, I mean, Mr. Navarro, look, after the president's policies were announced, we did see the markets drop. The bond market was spooked. Consumer confidence has plummeted. And inflation fears are at the highest level since 1981. Let me just ask you,
but we did have the greatest rally in stock market history for many, many decades this last week.
But they're down from when the president announced his policies overall. Let me ask you, so that we can get this information to folks. Give me the top line number. How many countries is the administration currently negotiating with to get a trade deal?
Well, let me see how many I can do. And remember, Kristen, we talked offline about this. We started doing this long before we announced the pause in the reciprocal tariffs in anticipation of this. So we've got the UK, we've got the EU, we've got India, we've got Japan, we've got North Korea, we've got Indonesia, we've got Israel, and they're just lining up outside the door of Jamieson Greer. The trade rep, Howard Lutnick, is very much a part of that. South Korea.
South Korea. Okay, yes. Okay, I just want to make sure there.
The only thing I can say about North Korea is it's quiet. Rocket Man's quiet again. We're getting, by the way, this is really important for peace in our time, because we had prosperity and peace. President is working hard with people like Steve Witkoff on peace. Gaza, in Ukraine, with Iran as we speak. There's action going on there. Do you know what that will mean for oil prices and for everything else?
Very quickly, are you talking to China? Is the administration talking to China right now?
We have opened up our invitation to them. Look, the president has a really good relationship.
But no talks right now?
The president has a very good relationship with President Xi. And we're going through a period where we hope that we'll be able to get to the other side of that. But here, let me say this about China. I think this is really important. China has killed over 1 million people with their fentanyl. We lost around 60,000 people in the Vietnam War. China has killed over 1 million people. China has taken over 60,000 of our factories, over 5 million manufacturing jobs. As we speak, every American is subject to hacking by the Chinese trying to get their money or their data. And the conflict we're having with them cannot be understated. And we have to be clear-eyed about that. Having said that, it would be nice if China did what they should do, which is move to a more domestic consumption-driven economy, and stop being the predator of the world.
A couple more questions for you.
Sure.
We're almost out of time.
Sure.
I want to let you respond to this back and forth with Elon Musk. Elon Musk was publicly advocating for a zero tariff trade deals. That goes against what you believe in, what President Trump believes in, presumably. But did Elon Musk win here, given these pauses and exclusions?
So first of all, Elon and I are great. It's not an issue.
Even though he called you a moron and dumber than a sack of bricks?
I've been called worse. Everything's fine with Elon. And look, Elon's doing a very good job with his team with waste, fraud, and abuse. That's a tremendous contribution to America. And no man doing that kind of thing should be subject to having his cars firebombed by crazies. I mean, that is like beyond the pale.
Broad agreement there.
So nobody should have to come into this government and have that happen or have to go to jail like I did.
Is what Elon's saying, is he disagreeing with the president's policies, Mr. Navarro?
So let's talk about the zero tariff issue, okay? Because this is really kind of interesting. We had Vietnam come to us first and then the EU. Zero tariffs get the American people virtually nowhere, particularly with a country like Vietnam, which sells us $15 for every $1 we sell. It doesn't work. The big problem we have are the non-tariff barriers, the currency manipulation, the dumping, the VAT taxes, all of that stuff that we have no defense against other than tariffs right now.
Very quickly, because we are out of time.
Sure. Hey, I'll stay as long as you want.
To the reports that you've been sidelined.
I'll take Cory Booker's time.
To the reports that you've been sidelined, Mr. Navarro.
Yeah.
Is that true? Have you been sidelined?
This is like the
Just
world.
Yes or no, because we're out of time.
I'm here.
Okay, so is that a no?
I'm here on Meet the Press.
All right.
I think you like to think this is the top show on Sunday.
I like to think so.
I guess I'm here.
I like to think so,
Kristen,
Mr. Navarro.
I'll come
Thank
back,
you.
Okay?
Appreciate it very
I'll
much.
toast
We hope you do.
Tim Russell,
you have that invitation.
The second female
Thank you for being
host
here.
in the history of the program.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.